The United States has long projected itself as a beacon of democracy, freedom, and justice on the global stage. It has justified its extensive military interventions in the Middle East by claiming to promote democracy, ensure regional stability, and combat terrorism. However, behind these noble-sounding objectives lie more insidious motives: securing oil resources, exerting geopolitical influence, and forceful regime changes to those whom they disagree with. The CIA, notorious for its covert operations and regime change tactics, played a pivotal role in furthering these hidden agendas and silencing those who exposed them and their propaganda. The United States government claimed that its goals in the Middle East were to promote democracy, ensure regional stability, and combat terrorism. However, these stated objectives often masked deeper, more self-serving intentions such as securing oil resources, exerting geopolitical influence, and supporting allied regimes. The CIA played a significant role in these endeavors, engaging in covert operations, regime changes, and misinformation campaigns to achieve American interests. Some individuals within the US military understood the true nature of these wars and attempted to expose the propaganda. These whistleblowers faced significant efforts by the US government to silence them and debunk their revelations. In 2010, Chelsea Manning, a US military intelligence analyst, exposed US war crimes by leaking information to WikiLeaks. By 2013, she was convicted on 17 serious charges and sentenced to 35 years in a maximum security prison as the United States silenced her for speaking the truth and exposing the United States. Julian Assange, an Australian journalist without any legal ties to the US, published Manning's revelations on WikiLeaks the same year. The leaked documents laid bare the brutal reality of US-led wars, including a video showing the US military cold-bloodedly murdering Iraqi civilians and journalists who reported on the war. This exposure challenged the US's crafted narrative, revealing the brutal and illegal actions hidden behind their propaganda. The US government, determined to silence Assange, managed to coerce the UK government into assisting them where Julian was currently located at the time. The CIA devised plans to either kill Assange or ensure he would be locked away for life for revealing their secrets. In late 2010, the United States added him to its manhunting timeline, a record of efforts to capture or kill alleged terrorists. The USA then branded Assange an enemy of the state. Later in 2019, he was charged under the Espionage Act, facing a potential 175-year prison sentence after already being pursued by the United States for 7 years. For the past 5 years, Assange has been confined in solitary detention in a UK maximum security prison without any official charges as the United States tries to send him off to the USA for his espionage charges. He is currently awaiting extradition to the US despite not being officially charged for 5 years, as the United States requests keep getting rejected due to the possibility of the death penalty. Despite him being a journalist with no obligations to the US, Assange remains imprisoned and persecuted by the American government. But this raises another reason for him not being sent off. He has no obligations to the US, so he doesn't have any rights like the First Amendment, as he is not a citizen, so the trial will not be fair. So what is his crime? Telling the truth and revealing historical facts. Julian Assange has already suffered 14 years of confinement. The US now threatens him with life in prison for exposing the truth about Operation Enduring Freedom and the killing of innocent civilians. The hypocrisy is stark. Perhaps the US should reconsider its definition of freedom, which includes the right to free speech, especially for journalists exposing government misconduct. This is a core journalistic duty protected by the US Constitution. It's clear the US government is using Assange to deter other journalists from revealing illegal activities. Recall the baseless claims of weapons of mass destruction? Not one official was held accountable. They escaped unscathed. The US has a long history of using propaganda to manipulate narratives through its social media sites and global network of news channels that are used to spread its interests and narratives. This manipulation has often involved spreading false information and deceit to justify their actions and maintain public support for their wars, including dragging in allied countries in war through its propaganda. Assange's exposure of these tactics made him a prime target for the US government. Assange is arguably the most famous political prisoner globally. The espionage charges against him are purely political. Assange faces persecution for his disclosures about the rules of engagement, which exposed American war crimes. These files were published worldwide, and many are being silenced. This is deeply personal for those in power in the United States and intelligence agencies who dread exposure. The US government's message is clear: expose our corruption, lies, and war crimes, and we will use our full power to destroy you. This relentless pursuit aims to silence truth-tellers. If the US succeeds, Assange faces 175 years in prison, a de facto death sentence. The CIA, an agency notorious for toppling governments and silencing dissenters, is a key player in this charade. Despite America's proclaimed values of freedom of speech and democracy, they actively work to silence those who reveal the truth. This glaring contradiction exposes the hypocrisy of a nation that claims to uphold the principles of freedom and expression while crushing those who dare to exercise these very values. Assange's persecution exemplifies this double standard, highlighting the lengths to which the US will go to maintain its facade of righteousness while committing acts that starkly oppose its declared values. Assange will have another trial on the 20th where he could be officially silenced forever with no return sent to the United States. The 3 of the Australian Parliament voted that enough is enough and is working on bringing him home to Australia.